Welcome to the first Zolcer Baldsick tutorial on vocals. First thing we're going to learn today is the high scream that you heard in the earlier video bit. It's mostly made about right here in the center of your throat, and what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to tighten up the vocal cords in this area right here in the middle. You're gonna pull your Adam's apple down a bit so that it tightens up that vocal cord area, because what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to increase the pitch of the sound that comes out of your mouth. The only way to do that is by tightening up the vocal cords. So the more you open your mouth, see this goes down? That's all you need. Be able to see those two things on the side that are closing like this? Those are located about right here, and you're wanting to in. So we got this bit right here comes down. These two tonsils back here, they come in, and you see? So you tighten that up a little bit. See here? See? So you're gonna see after you bring this down, when you actually exhale, the pressure from your lungs is going to push it back up. But the important thing is that you start low so you don't damage anything when the music comes out. See? And that comes up from the other side. You'll see in the beginning there's a little bit of low that it turns into a high afterwards. So you want that low to start your punch. It gives your high, instead of it just sounding like you got that punch in the beginning. That's the beginning each time. So you do it over and over and over again until you get it practiced. You'll feel a slight tightness in that area where you're tightening up because your vocal cords are not used to being stretched. So the next thing that we want to learn The next thing we're going to go over is one of the two types of low growls that you'll hear me commonly use. Same thing with the last one. You're going to want to drop this tonsil down. You want to cup down, so either your left or your right. And what you want to do inside of your mouth, what you're wanting to do is shape the tone. So whatever comes out of your throat, it's going to be the same tone no matter what, because your body is built a certain way. So what you have to do is manipulate your tongue so that the air and the sound waves come out of your mouth in different ways. So for this one, obviously I can't talk while I'm showing you what my tongue is doing, but right here on the inside of your teeth, you know where there's a mountain, and as soon as you can feel right here, about right here in the back of your teeth, you can feel where the back of your teeth roots are. You want to put your tongue right behind that, and what you're doing is you're making a wall, and when the sound comes out, it's going to come out over this side and over this side, and when it comes out, it's going to cross on its way out your mouth. So it creates sort of like a flanging effect, and that's what gives it that resonance that you're wanting to sound like. See, I'm doing the same thing with my throat the entire time, but as I change my head, you can hear the tone changes because my vocal cords are getting different directions. So really this is very much about experimentation and finding out where you should be setting your head. You see some vocalists come all the way down, some vocalists come over to the right, some vocalists come over to the left. I usually just come straight down and get this knot right here, and then Another important thing, last note on the deathcore black metal scream, you want an ooh. So, you know, you see how it gives that mouthestation a little bit? And then, you know, naturally when you add the distortion to that from your throat, the next type of vocal that we're going to talk about, the next type of vocal that we're going to talk about, the next type of vocal that we're going to talk about, the next type of vocal that we're going to talk about, the next type of vocal that we're going to talk about, the next type of vocal that we're going to talk about, the next type of vocal that we're going to talk about, the next type of vocal that we're going to talk about is the purely deathcore scream. This is my most recent invention for my personal repertoire. I can't say whether or not it's going to come out the same way for you, but you can try to perform the techniques that I've been performing. But I'm still not 100% sure everything that I'm doing when it comes out, but I'll try my best. So this one is another very guttural sound, but instead of coming mainly from your throat and your chest, and I didn't really mention that in the last segment, but you're wanting the majority of your power to come from your chest when you're doing deathcore vocals. This deathcore vocal comes from your diaphragm, from down here. It's built a lot on kind of like what they taught me in like choir and shit about how to resonate the sound of your voice, and it all comes from your diaphragm. Your diaphragm's down here. You want to practice breathing exercises if you're not familiar with where the diaphragm is. Try to breathe without raising your shoulders, and where the air goes is your diaphragm. So you'll see this. See my chest comes up? All my power is going from my chest when I do that. If I come from the diaphragm, you see it's down in the bottom of my lungs because I'm forcing it to stay down there. Now this is a great exercise that you can do to stretch your lungs out, to give yourself a stronger lung capacity. So without further ado, into the deathcore scream. What you're wanting to do, the majority of the sound comes from your soft palate behind where your nasal cavities connect around, and where you breathe. So if you breathe through your nose, you'll feel the air coming down through that back nasal cavity. You can feel that area that's cold back there. That's your soft palate. On the other side of that is where the majority of this sound comes from. So drop down from below your soft palate. It's above the back of your throat, above the back of your tongue as well, right here. That's where you're going to come from this. Now the sound is see, it's a little more open sound. There's a little bit less of a flanging effect. And you can mix back and forth between high and low doing this. So you'll hear a lot of vocalists go that transfer. They're going from the bottom low guttural, and they're using this technique to transfer up to the high, because the high and the low, they're accomplished with two different parts of the mouth. And so when you do this middle deathcore scream, you can use it as a glue to kind of tie a lot of your different other vocals together. And it's made, again, in that back. It's really hard to explain, but I mean, maybe you can just look inside of my mouth and see where I'm about to do something. Like, again, those tonsils in the back. See, the tongue is down, not up like the guttural. See the difference? And it's really good for transfer because your mouth is open. You can hear all the sound that's going on, and there's no chance of like confusion for your mouth because you're giving it a nice little transfer. Now the vocal you've all been waiting for, the trubby on the dubby. This is something that I invented when I was 13 or 14 years old. but I was a lazy sack of shit and never tried to do anything with it because I thought that no one else would ever have the ability. This is mostly has to do with your tongue. It's another one of those shaping of the sounds. So it has to do with the back of your tongue right here, into where your jaw is, very low right here. And the shape that you're wanting to make will give you this sound right here when you're talking normal. You want to put the tip of your tongue down below the bottom of the front of your bottom teeth, like this. So it creates a spiral. And when you talk, it's going to give you a sound like this, because the way the sound is kind of getting under your tongue. The sound is getting under your tongue, and because you flipped your tongue, there's a little cavity where the sound gets stuck. And then when it gets stuck, it tries to, it's trying to escape, and it bounces around, so it gives you a really weird, creepy, echoey feeling. So when you talk like this, you're preparing yourself for the double talk. It kind of almost sounds like you know what I'm saying? I don't know how to explain it, but this is what it is. So when you add the distortion, see? You just have to add the distortion. Sorry, I've been looking at myself. I'm trying to see the shape of the tongue here. See, and then I also crook my jaw over to the side to make the distortion even worse. I crook my jaw over to the side. I have never tried it to come over this direction, so I'm not 100% sure how it works over here. It probably just gives you another sound. See, I went directly back to the right. It's muscle memory. So whatever muscle memory works for you best is going to work the best for you. It's really, really, really easy. It sounds so fucking brutal and so guttural and so feral, but